Yeah, so if you watch my episode 3 review, you'll notice that I made a haves and have-nots comparison there with Bill and Jim Cryer, with Hayley being the Candace Young of this dynamic, being that she's a young woman who was able to revitalize the passion within Bill, who's felt stuck in a mundane lifestyle, a loveless marriage, at least on his half of the, couple, being that he's fallen out of love with his wife, and a young woman comes to his life and just changes everything, and he's willing to just leave everything he had in favor of getting with this new woman. And it didn't hit me until this morning, as I was, I just took a few minutes to go to the dump up the road. And as I was packing the trash, for whatever reason, I thought about Hayley. I'm like, whoa. What's heavy is that not only did she betray who she said is her first real friend, bust up her parents' marriage, but is about to marry her father, Bill, which in turn would mean that Naomi's former bestie, Hayley, is about to become her stepmother. That completely went over my head until this morning. And then these two have the audacity to talk about how, well, Hayley's like, oh, I just lost my good friend. And then Bill's like, oh, she'll come around. How can you come back from this? I mean, episode 2 was wild enough, with one of my favorite scenes being Nicole giving Hayley a dose of reality that you betrayed your friend and her mother, who welcomed you into the family with open arms, ruined their marriage. You're about to marry Bill and move back into the family's neighborhood, and you act like everything is supposed to be cool. It's like, she can't get past her anger. It's hurt. But also, look at how you screwed her over. Hayley, she's claiming not to be naive or, ridiculously optimistic about her situation, but you can't expect these people to just accept you with open arms, or at the very least come around to involving you in community events and not treating you like an outcast, because your reputation precedes itself. The fact that Danny was one of the most beloved members of the community, you were responsible for busting up her marriage. Now you're moving back into the neighborhood, basically flaunting your new marriage in front of her, being with her ex-husband. Her whole life is in shambles, and you just expect everything to be cool. And I really can't wait, and I hope we get a scene of Naomi and Hayley at some point in the season. I'm pretty sure we will, but the fact that she's about to become her stepmom. Now, the reason I'm doing this video is not just to talk about the Hayley being messy situation, but the theory of, do you think she did pull a Candace Young from the Haves and the Have-Nots, where she purposefully got involved with Naomi on a friendship level and played her cards right until she eventually made it to the lands of the haves? Because remember, Naomi said 5 years ago, I left Fairmount Crest in order to pursue my own legacy outside of the Dupree name, because there's a lot of pressure that comes with that last name. And I wanted to follow in Dad's footsteps and be just like him and open my own firm or start my own, legal practice. And I think this is something that occurred before the Hayley situation, based off the way Naomi was talking. So essentially, as she got older, she realized that the way that her father practices law isn't how she wants to do it. It's like, Dad, he bends the rules too much. He bends the law to fit his own needs and whatnot. Not to mention, we've already established he's the kind of guy that, is one to store up and utilize favors when necessary to get what he wants. Like that one friend in that first episode. Oh, I'm not going to charge you anything. I'll get your son off with just a phone call. But just remember what I did for you, so that favor can come in handy somewhere down the line. So essentially, their viewpoint of the laws is completely different. So that's why Naomi chose to strike out on her own, start her own practice. She met her husband, and she hasn't looked back. And from that perspective, you have to, and also it was confirmed, she knew about the affairs. Her and Chelsea both knew about the affairs their father had on their mom prior to Hayley. Now, I don't know if all of this came out after Hayley was introduced and the marriage was split, but based off like the disappointment and hurt in Naomi's speech, it just felt like, yeah, I guess as they got older, they started to notice certain things and realize like, yeah, mom and dad's marriage just isn't what, it appears to be. It's crazy. And Naomi has a fresh perspective from the outside looking in. But who's to say that, her and Hayley just randomly didn't bump into each other one day and then they ended up being friends. And with Naomi having such a disdain for her father, it wouldn't surprise me if as they grew closer as friends, Naomi began to vent to Hayley about the situation involving her parents. Now, keep in mind, Hayley doesn't have family. She probably didn't come from much of any money. So as she learned more about Naomi, she probably felt some sort of like confusion, like, wait a minute, you're from the land overflowing with milk and honey, yet you decided to give it all up to come to the land of the have-nots to start your own practice and whatnot. Like, why would you do that? So eventually she probably thought that, okay, the closer I get to Naomi, maybe, I don't know if they met in like college and whatnot, but maybe she purposefully decided to pursue a similar career field as Naomi, and then learn that if I can get in with her, I can meet her family and then, work my way up. So then we get to the point where she's introduced to Danny, Bill, the rest of the Duprees who, welcome her into their, life and whatnot. And then I'm pretty sure the first time she went behind the gates, she got a taste of that good life. And it's like, why can't I have a house like that? Why can't I be a member of the country club like that? Why can't I get, like, maybe she saw a couple get married at that country club. Why can't I get married at a country club like that? Why can't I get a man like one of these wealthy men in the neighborhood? And then she spotted the cracks in the the cracks in the marriage of Danny and Bill, and based off what Naomi may have told her, she used that as a way to get in with Bill, because remember, Danny said she was the one that vouched for Hayley to Bill to get a job at his practice, and then from there, who knows, maybe Hayley stayed extra hours because she wanted to catch up on work, aka get closer to Bill. I think Naomi isn't as innocent as she seems. Now, keep in mind, Bill is a dog, and I have no doubt he was attracted to Hayley, but the more they got to know each other, I feel like Naomi unintentionally gave Hayley key information about her parents, and she was able to utilize that to manipulate the situation in order to get on Bill's good side and eventually give him a taste of what he's been missing at home. And then from there, that's when the divorce happened, the affair started, the divorce happened, they, left, and then as soon as the divorce is over, strangely enough, they come back to the community and buy a house there and get married in the country club. Nah, this was calculated. And then, like I said in my review, I felt so bad for Danny because here she was staring into the eyes of a man she's been married to for over 30 years, yet she wasn't able to get through to him. Essentially, everything they built together meant nothing. Hey, I moved on, so should you. And look, we were in trouble way before Hayley came along. Well, I didn't know. She just thought that all the affairs and whatnot, some men cheat, some don't, I'll let it go. So I just feel so bad for her. I really do. But Hayley, I don't feel like Hayley is as innocent as she claims to be. And also, like I said, mentioning the Candace Young comparison, Candace did her research on the Cryer family. She knew, okay, if I can become friends with Amanda, who is the daughter of Jim Cryer, and I have sex with him as, an escort, I can use this for blackmail since he's planning to run for, governor. So this was all a calculated strategy on her part. And then when you think about it, Hayley might be coming across like Bill, someone who pegged Danny as a cash cow to resources via her family connections. Not to mention, she was a famous model when she met Bill. So he knew from the jump, I don't have a lot of connections, resources, or capital, but if I get in with her, So basically, Danny was a stepping stone in order for, her family to eventually help him build the firm and success he has now, even though he denies it. he says like, "Oh look, I would have made it to where I am now even without your family." To some extent, I agree, but obviously Vernon and the Dupree name led to him getting to where he is now much quicker had he never got involved with Danny. So for him to act like he did everything on his own is just, come on, bro. You're not a self-made man. You're a con artist. And I feel like Hayley did the same thing, pegging Naomi as a way to get in behind the gates, pun intended. However, she's going to find out the hard way that Bill, I feel like after they get married, Bill is going to act the same way towards her that he's been acting towards Danny. You know, he'll start cheating. You know, he'll start, you know, acting cold towards her. And it's like Danny said when she left the office, you think you're the first, you'll find out soon enough. So yeah, it's like, what's that saying? You lose them how you get them. So I really believe that Hayley, she's going to get more than she bargained for. It's like, I fell in love with an inconvenient man. Well, now you have to deal with the inconvenient consequences. So yeah, I just, the more I think about this show after only 3 episodes, the more I'm invested. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like and subscribe, and we'll just have to wait and see how things unfold. To be honest, as much as I side with Danny in her crash outs and understanding why she's acting the way she does, part of me feels like she shouldn't do anything, because let Hayley find out the hard way what she's getting into. I honestly think she's going to regret it. So like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.